You're listening to the Small Business Accelerator podcast, accelerating success, one founder at a time.
With your hosts, Roger Bryant and Sarah Wilson.
We support small business owners, the little guys. We're here to help you win in today's landscape.
Join us each week as we reveal powerful strategies for small business owners that save you time and money.
Because we believe every small business owner should have access to Fortune 500 style strategies without breaking the bank.
Subscribe now on Spotify and Apple Podcasts to accelerate your small business success. Hey everyone, welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're diving into something I know a lot of you are interested in, the founder journey. Well, not just the business side, the human side.
Yeah, we see the success stories all the time, right? Big exits and all, but you don't often hear about what's going on behind the scenes, that mental and emotional roller coaster founders go through.
It's true. And it's something I'm really passionate about because, well, starting something new, building it from nothing, it's tough. We put together some articles and research for today's deep dive, all about how founders can go from feeling totally overwhelmed to feeling empowered and in control.
And you know what's surprising? We found that a huge percentage of founders, like a really significant number, deal with serious mental strain. It's not just a one-off, it's like a common thread.
So we're not just talking about the normal stress of a business, but like bigger mental health challenges.
Yeah, for sure. We're talking burnout, anxiety, even just like brain fog, Imagine your most stressful job, but like 10 times worse. Constant decisions, the pressure to succeed, the crazy hours, it all adds up.
It's funny though, right? Because in the founder world, admitting you need help with that stuff can be seen as weak. Like if you can't handle it, you're not cut out for this.
It's such a problem. There's a stigma around mental health anyway, but with startups, it's like next level. Everything's hustle, 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 push yourself to the limit.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
Because asking for help, that takes strength. Recognizing you're struggling, that's brave.
Yeah.
And the good news is there are totally ways to deal with this stuff, to build a business that doesn't make you feel burnt out.
That's what we're getting into. And our sources had some great points, highlighting 4 areas or pillars that are key for founders to master to go from chaos to, well, feeling in control.
4 pillars of founder sanity. I like it. So what's the first one? Let's hear it.
All right. Pillar number 1 is all about purpose. And I don't mean that vague, make a difference stuff. This is about a deep, clear sense of why you're doing this,
It's like that saying, if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there.
Yeah.
If you don't have that purpose, it's easy to get lost, especially when things get hard.
Totally. It's your compass, your North Star. When things are tough, when you have a decision to make, when you're feeling lost, that purpose is what brings you back. Think about it. Anyone can steer a ship on a calm day. But when you're in a storm, you need that compass to get you home.
I love that. And that purpose, it can't be fake, right? It's got to come from within.
100%. It has to be something you really care about, that matches what you believe in, that pushes you to keep going even when it's tough.
So for a founder who's listening, thinking, okay, I need to figure out my purpose, where do they start?
It starts with some tough questions. What are you actually passionate about solving? What impact do you want to have? What do you want to leave behind? They're big questions, but they help you find that why.
Those are such good ones to think about because I imagine once you have that clarity, it's like everything else gets easier.
Exactly. It's how you make decisions. When you see a new opportunity, you can ask, does this fit with my purpose? Is this helping me reach my goals? And if the answer is no, you can say no, even if it's hard.
That's so important because as founders, there are always shiny new opportunities, new things that can distract us from what matters.
For sure. That's where a strong sense of purpose keeps you grounded, keeps you focused on your own vision, even when things get crazy.
All right, so pillar 1, purpose. That's the foundation. What's next? What's pillar number 2 in our quest for Founder Zen?
Pillar 2, this one's all about building healthy habits for the long run. We're talking about sustainability here.
Because we all know those founders, right? Burning the candle at both ends, pulling all-nighters, surviving on coffee and willpower. But that's not sustainable.
No way. And our sources were really clear on this. If you don't take care of yourself mentally and physically, it will catch up to you. It's like running a marathon at a sprint. You might start strong, but you'll burn out.
So what are some things founders can actually do to avoid that burnout?
It's the basic stuff. Getting enough sleep, eating healthy, moving your body regularly. Those might seem obvious, but they're the first to go when you're busy.
Especially sleep. It's like a badge of honor for some founders to say they're not sleeping.
I know, right? But not sleeping enough, it really messes with you. Your decisions, your creativity, your health.
And it's not just the physical stuff either, right? Mental health is a huge part of this.
Totally. I mean, think about it. Founders are under so much pressure, always dealing with uncertainty, risk, people saying no all the time. It's no surprise that there's higher rates of things like anxiety and depression.
So what can founders do to manage that stress? Like, how do they prioritize mental health?
Our sources really stressed finding healthy ways to cope. Things like mindfulness, meditation, even just being in nature. That stuff can make a huge difference in how you deal with stress, improve your overall well-being.
Yeah, I imagine having a support system is key too, right?
Yeah, 100%. It's so easy to feel like you're the only one going through it, especially as a founder. But you're not alone. Connecting with other founders, finding mentors, building a network that's huge for support, advice, and just a different perspective.
It's like they say you become like the people you hang out with. Being around people who understand the founder journey, who can offer encouragement, that's got to be so important.
And honestly, sometimes just talking about it helps so much. A therapist, a coach, a friend, family, whoever you trust, just getting those feelings out can be like therapeutic.
Okay, so we've got purpose, we've got healthy habits. What's the third pillar for founder well-being?
Pillar number 3 is all about community and feedback.
So we talked about community for support, but now we're adding in the feedback part.
Yep. And this is where it gets interesting. Positive feedback is great, of course, but that negative feedback, that's where the real growth happens.
That's that saying, right? You learn more from your failures. But let's be real, negative feedback is hard to hear.
Oh, absolutely. Nobody likes to hear their product isn't working or their marketing's a flop. But the key is, don't take it personally. See feedback, good or bad, as information. It's data that helps you improve.
Easier said than done, though, right? How can founders get better at actually hearing that feedback and using it without letting their ego get in the way?
It's a mindset shift, honestly. Instead of seeing it as criticism, see it as a chance to grow. Ask yourself, okay, what can I learn from this? How can I make things better?
Like separating yourself from your work.
Exactly. It's not about you as a person. It's about making your business better.
And the source of the feedback matters too, I bet.
Huge difference. Hearing it from your target audience, investors, mentors in your industry, that's gold. Some random comment on social media, not so much.
Speaking of social media, everyone's talking about building online communities. How does that fit into this whole feedback and support thing?
It's all about finding your people. And these days, they don't have to be like physically near you. Online communities can be amazing for connecting with other founders, bouncing ideas around, sharing resources, all of that.
Were there any communities that stood out in the research?
Yeah, there was one called Fave. They're all about connecting creators and their fans.
Oh, interesting. Like a digital fan club, but more about building relationships, a real community.
Exactly. And I love that they try to keep things positive. They have a whole point system that rewards people for having good conversations, supporting each other, basically making the online world a little less toxic.
Love it. Because, let's face it, the internet can be brutal. Building those positive communities, online or offline, that's huge for founders, especially when you're struggling or feeling burnt out.
For sure. And that brings us to our last pillar, which is about leadership and building an amazing team culture.
Okay, so we've gone from the internal purpose, well-being, to the external community, feedback. Now it's about leading a team. What are the big takeaways there?
Our sources all talked about how important it is to create a culture of open communication, where people feel safe to speak up. And they talked about this idea of radical candor.
Radical candor. Okay, I am intrigued. What does that look like in a real workplace?
Imagine a workplace where people can actually say what they think, share their ideas without worrying about judgment or getting in trouble. That's that psychological safety thing. Radical candor takes it a step further. It's about giving and getting feedback directly, even if it's hard, but always respectfully. Because ultimately, you both want what's best for the team.
So it's not about being harsh just for the sake of it. It's about creating a space where honesty is valued and respected.
Exactly. And it starts with the leader. The way you talk to your team, how you deal with disagreements, how you give and take feedback that sets the tone for the whole company.
So if you want a team that's excited, that comes up with new ideas, that's not afraid to challenge things, you, as the leader, have to show them how it's done.
100%. One of the sources had this amazing example. Have you heard of the Netflix culture deck?
It rings a bell. I know it's famous in the business world, but I don't know all the details.
So it's this internal document that Reed Hastings, the CEO of Netflix, put together, and it lays out their whole company culture. And it went viral a while back because it's so different. It's really straightforward, almost too honest in a way, but it's also super empowering.
Okay, spill the tea. What does it say?
One of the main things is this freedom and responsibility idea. Netflix gives employees a ton of freedom, but they're also expected to own their work. No micromanaging, but high expectations.
So it's about trusting your team to do their best work, but also being clear about what you need from them and holding them accountable.
Right. And they're not afraid to have the tough conversations. They actually encourage people to give and get direct feedback, even if it feels awkward. But everyone knows they're on the same side, working towards the same goal.
That's so cool because so many companies are all about avoiding conflict, trying to make everything nice and neat, never rocking the boat.
Totally. But Netflix realized that being transparent and having those open conversations, even if it gets messy sometimes, actually leads to better decisions, more innovation, and happier employees.
It makes sense. People want to feel valued, to be themselves, to know their opinions matter, and it sounds like Netflix gets that.
They do, and it's a big reason they're so successful.
It's such a good example of how investing in your team, their well-being and their skills can make a huge difference.
100%.
Okay, so those 4 pillars: purpose, healthy habits, community and feedback, and leadership. It's a lot to process. And speaking of processing, I think it's time to bring in our secret weapon to help us take all this amazing info to the next level.
Ooh, I like where this is going. What's the secret weapon?
Well, we've talked about mindset shifts and habits, but now I want to give our listeners some concrete tools, some actual strategies.
Practical application. Love it.
Exactly, and that's where our second source comes in, Automations Made Easy by Martin Nebonge.
Automation. Yes. Saving time, being more efficient, what's not to love?
Right. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Automation sounds complicated. I'm not a tech person.
Which is so understandable. But this book is amazing because it's made for small business owners and solopreneurs. Even if you're not techie, you can do it.
No jargon, just clear, helpful advice. Okay, so what are the biggest takeaways from Automations Made Easy?
The first one is, you don't have to be a tech genius to use automation. The book breaks it down into simple steps anyone can follow.
I love that, making it feel doable. There's this idea that automation is just for huge companies with big tech teams.
Totally. But the truth is there are affordable tools out there that are perfect for smaller businesses. And this book shows you exactly where to find them.
Okay, so first step, finding the right tools. What's next?
And this is important. Choosing the right tasks to automate. Not everything needs to be automated. In fact, trying to automate everything can actually create more work.
Makes sense. So it's about being smart, figuring out what will have the biggest impact.
Exactly. The book teaches you how to spot those tasks that are eating up your time, the ones that a system could easily handle for you.
Give me an example. What kind of tasks are we talking about?
Oh, so many. Scheduling your social media posts, sending those email newsletters, managing your calendar, even following up with potential clients. All those things can be automated, which frees you up to focus on what you're best at.
This is blowing my mind. I'm already thinking about all the things I could automate in my own work.
Right. It's a game changer. And the best part is the book doesn't just tell you what to do. It shows you exactly how to do it step by step.
No, that's what I'm talking about. Step-by-step guidance.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the biggest hurdle with automation, just knowing where to start.
Totally. But Automations Made Easy takes all the guesswork out of it. It gives you templates, shows you how to build automations in real time, even teaches you how to make money from it.
Wait, make money? You mean you can actually use automation skills to create another income stream?
Absolutely. The book shows you how to take your knowledge and turn it into services or products you can sell to other businesses.
That is amazing. This book is going straight to the top of my reading list.
Okay.
But for our listeners who are just getting into this, paint me a picture. What does life look like for a founder who's got this automation thing down?
Okay, so imagine this. You wake up, and instead of that mountain of a to-do list making you want to crawl back into bed, you feel calm because you know your systems are already taking care of a lot of it.
Okay, I am already feeling calmer just thinking about it.
Right. You check your email, and your automated welcome sequence has already gone out to new people who signed up for your email list. You nurtured those leads while you were asleep.
And my social media. Posting on schedule, keeping my audience engaged without me lifting a finger.
Exactly. Maybe you've even got a virtual assistant, AI-powered, of course, who's handling all those tedious tasks that used to eat up your day. Scheduling meetings, making travel arrangements, managing your inbox.
Okay, now that is next level efficiency. But it's more than just getting things done faster, right? It's about having the mental space to actually think.
Exactly. You get rid of those repetitive tasks, and your mind is freed up to be creative, to plan, to connect with your team, to do the things that really matter.
And to actually enjoy the journey. Founder burnout is real,
Mm-hmm.
but when you have systems in place that make your life easier, you can start to find the joy in what you're doing again.
100%. And at the end of the day, isn't that what it's all about? Being successful, yes, but also living a good life.
So well said. Wow, this deep dive has been so inspiring, so empowering. We talked about the mental and emotional hurdles founders face, the importance of purpose, healthy habits, building a great team, and being a good leader, and even got into some practical tips for taking back your time with automation.
It's been a lot, right? And I think the biggest takeaway for me is that you don't have to do this alone. There are resources, strategies, tools, all there to help you navigate the craziness of being a founder and come out on top.
So true. And it made me think about something we mentioned earlier, that whole thing about how so many founders struggle with mental health but don't ask for help. That's something a lot of entrepreneurs are dealing with, right?
Absolutely. And we have to talk about it more. Asking for help is not weak. It's actually really strong. It means you're self-aware, that you know you don't have to do everything yourself. And taking care of yourself is not just good for you, it's good for your business too.
100%. To all our listeners who might be struggling out there, you are not alone. We'll be sure to put some helpful resources in the show notes.
For sure. Mental health matters, and we need to keep talking about it openly and honestly.
Our deep dive today focused on how to avoid burnout, how to make this whole founder thing more sustainable. But I feel like we should talk about what happens when those strategies aren't enough. Like, what then?
Right. What about those founders who are already feeling burned out? What helps them recover, get back on their feet?
Exactly.
Yep.
Because burnout isn't a one-time thing. It can be a chronic problem, especially when you're running your own business. And just ignoring it, that doesn't work.
Nope. In fact, it usually makes things worse. It can lead to some pretty serious health problems down the line if you're not careful.
For sure. So, to our listeners who are in that place, it's okay to not be okay. And it's never too late to reach out for help, to start taking care of yourself.
And you can recover. It takes time, effort, and sometimes making tough choices, but it's so worth it.
Absolutely. Okay, before we wrap up, I want to hear from you, our awesome listeners. What really stuck with you today? What are you taking away from this conversation?
Oh, man. There's been so much good stuff here. It's hard to pick just one thing. But I think what really resonated with me is this idea of the founder journey being a balancing act.
Yes. Balancing your ambition with taking care of yourself, pushing forward, but also knowing when to slow down, rest, and recharge.
Exactly. And what we've talked about today is that you don't have to pick one or the other. You can be successful and take care of your mental health.
And that is such an important message. For so long, it's been like this myth that you have to sacrifice your well-being to make it as an entrepreneur.
That whole hustle harder thing can really backfire in the long run.
Totally. So let's change that story. Let's
Yeah.
redefine what it means to be a successful founder.
100%. Success isn't just about money. It's about doing something meaningful, making a difference, and having a life you enjoy, a life that feels good.
So well said.
Mwah.
And the things we've talked about today, defining your purpose, setting boundaries, building your community, using automation to your advantage, those are all ways to make that happen, to find that sustainable path to success.
Working smarter, not harder, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And remember, it's a journey. There will be good times and tough times, wins and setbacks. But if you're taking care of yourself, you'll be ready for whatever comes your way.
Love it.
Okay, on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive. But before we go, one last thought. We've talked about getting feedback from other people, which is so key. But don't forget to check in with yourself too.
Ooh, good one. What's that internal compass of yours saying?
Right. Take some time to think about what you learned today, what really hit home for you. What's one small step you can take this week to feel less overwhelmed and more in control?
Maybe it's finally booking that doctor's appointment you've been putting off, or giving yourself permission to just relax and recharge.
Or maybe it's finally reaching out to that founder friend for coffee, or trying out that automation tool you've been curious about.
No matter how big or small, take that action. even small changes add up over time.
So true. And hey, we're all in this together. Share your thoughts, your challenges, your victories, everything. Find us on social media. Use hashtag The Deep Dive. We love hearing from you. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep diving deep. Thanks for tuning in to the Small Business Accelerator podcast.
We really hope today's strategies help you grow your business without breaking the bank.
Don't forget to check the show notes for links to resources we've handpicked for small business success.
If you found value in today's episode, it would make our day if you subscribed to the podcast and left us a review.
You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
And stay tuned for our next episode. Next time, we'll reveal yet another game-changing strategy that's revolutionizing how small businesses on a shoestring budget take on giant corporations and accelerate their success.
Until then, keep accelerating your success.
This is Sarah Wilson.
And Roger Bryant, signing off.